Prior to starting the production of my magazine, I engaged in a comprehensive research and then planning to ensure the success of my project. I made certain that my magazine had a distinct house style that was typical of a gaming magazine. In my research, I discovered that many gaming magazines adopt a dark theme on their front covers, often featuring screenshots of games with the bold and vibrant colors that stand out against the darkness. I chose the colors blue and green for my magazine, as I noticed that the gaming industry often markets to a wider male audience, and these colors are associated with being fresh, new, and cool, which reflects the gaming industry as a whole. The color blue also has masculine connotations, as blue is commonly associated with males, which is the targeted audience. To subvert/challenge the conventions of the typical gaming magazine, I chose to feature a model on the front cover instead of a typical 3D rendered character from a game or gameplay footage. This was a conscious decision, as I wanted to showcase my technology that would appeal to my target audience, who are males, mainly ranging from early teenagers to mid-30s, around 14 to 35. The idea was to demonstrate that a new console was not just a single game, but a whole new platform that was capable of hosting several games. To make the cover more eye-catching and appealing to my target audience, I had the model pose in an epic stance, which is often found in screenshots, where characters are portrayed as imposing and cool. Another way I subverted typical gaming magazine conventions was by featuring a female model instead of a male. My goal was to promote diversity and challenge the typical forms and conventions of the gaming genre, which tends to target males. Females are underrepresented in gaming, and I felt that by using a female model, I could appeal to a wider audience of both males and females, and hopefully bring more females into the gaming world, promoting diversity and inclusivity in the process. In my analysis of gaming magazines, I observed that they typically feature game-related subjects and images on their front covers, instead of physical models. This trend leans more towards technology, and I wanted to showcase the use of a VR headset through a model, similar to tech magazines such as Wired. The masthead of my magazine conforms to the typical style and conventions of a gaming magazine. The font used, Destruido, is sleek, minimalistic, and futuristic, which is commonly seen in gaming magazine mastheads. Absence of serifs in the font was intentional, as it helps convey a sense of modernity and newness instead of tradition, which is what I wanted to achieve from my magazine. Text on the front cover is positioned mostly on the right and bottom of the page, as these areas are considered familiar zones according to Kress and Van Leeuwen's layout theory, making it more likely for the readers to direct their focus to the text first. The images used in the magazine mostly follow the genre's conventions, with the exception of my female model showcasing the VR headset. In typical gaming magazines, most articles feature gameplay footage or screenshots. My own screenshots taken while playing games follow the conventions in terms of angle, point of view, and environment. In creating my gaming magazine, I adhere to the conventions and the forms that are commonly found in the genre. With regards to the cover page, typical gaming magazines often feature a puff on the front cover, which is designed to catch the reader's eye with the use of eye-catching colors, shapes, and other elements. I chose to use a bright blue color with white text on a black background for my puff, to direct the reader's attention to the important information being highlighted. The puff provided information about a subscription package that the reader could claim, along with the page number to guide them to it. The double page spread of my magazine adheres to the conventional forms of typical gaming magazines. I made sure to include a gutter between the text to clearly distinguish the segments of the article, and added subheadings to each segment to provide further distinction. The articles within my magazine follow the standard forms and conventions of the gaming genre. In this section, I was focusing on my technology article, which can be found in gaming magazines, as indicated by the cover lines and contents pages. This was done by comparing two VR headsets and providing a comprehensive explanation of VR technology. This approach is in line with typical gaming content found in gaming magazines, as they often include articles related to gaming. In terms of technology representation, my magazine follows the conventions of the gaming genre by showcasing the latest technology products in a review-like manner, highlighting their specifications and features. The main focus of my technology section is VR technology, and I emphasize its importance by making it the main cover line, using words such as VR and Oculus. I also used Steve Neal's genre theory. I made sure it contained the same things you'd find in other tech sections and magazines, as people love repetition. I also made the focus on VR as it is different to what is usually featured, which is PC or console related items, as people like to be challenged on something new. Additionally, I made the main cover line large and flashy to draw the reader's attention to it. The contents pages of my magazine also follow the forms and conventions of typical gaming magazines. A typical gaming magazine's contents pages has images as its main focus, with the text being pushed to the periphery. However, for my magazine, I wrapped the text around the images to make sure that the images were the main focus, as I wanted to guide the reader towards the page numbers, which were highlighted with a bright blue background. I also previously talked about color. Additionally, when analyzing the contents page of typical gaming magazines, I observed that they typically emphasize the page number that corresponds to the story it links to, in order to help guide the reader to the correct page. In order to replicate this approach and to prevent my page from becoming too cluttered, I decided to incorporate this feature. For the color scheme, I followed my house style of my magazine, but added a few extra colors. I chose a bright blue shade because I believed it would match the theme of my magazine and not to confuse the reader with too many bright colors and text. Previously, I mentioned that I used Extruder as my masthead font. The font I used for the text, which was Franklin Gothic Demi, was simple, avoiding the font I had used for the cover lines, Contracts, due to its connected text, which could potentially confuse the reader. I added a few images, opting for fewer but larger images as opposed to many small images, to make the article clear and easier for the reader to connect the text to the images. The article also includes a comparison graphic to give a quick summary of specifications of the Quest VR2 headset compared to the Pico 4 VR headset. According to Steve Neal's genre theory, the audience will cease to support the producer if it fails to meet the expectations of the audience, which is why I've made sure to keep the article and the images focused on gaming related items. Anyhow, that's a wrap.